Hi, and welcome to Chapter 5 of Head, Hands, and Feet. And this chapter is called Head, Hands, and Feet in Gethsemane. Just a reminder, this is also going to have all of the information as far as the scripture readings and the questions posted below the YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead with the reading, and I hope you enjoy it and are participating and doing a little bit of study and reflection. Head, Hands, and Feet in Gethsemane, Part 1. We don't know whether anyone washed Jesus' feet that evening. What we are told is that the disciples recently washed feet walked with Jesus to the Garden of Gethsemane by crossing the Kidron Valley. These feet would now get dirty again, and they were still tired, as were their heads. Despite Jesus urging them to stay awake and pray with him, the disciples fell asleep. Going to Gethsemane served two main purposes. Firstly, it was where Jesus would pray to gain strength from his Father for what was to come that night. Secondly, it was where Jesus would finally be arrested or captured to face trial. As Jesus prayed, he still had questions in his head for his Father. The prospect of capture, being whipped, beaten, and mocked, in addition to being crucified, was horrifying. Jesus wanted to know if there was another way, so he prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me." He added, "Yet not as I will, but as you will." Horrendous though his ordeal would be, Jesus nevertheless put his Father's will before his own, which in effect was putting our salvation before consideration for himself. This is why, after giving encouragement to the disciples to pray too, he returned, having prayed a more resigned prayer. "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." Mark's gospel shows that Jesus had begun this prayer time with his Father by acknowledging that everything is possible for you. However, what he also acknowledged was that even though some things are possible, they are not desirable. Avoiding the pain of Calvary may have been possible, but there was a greater work to be done than the preaching and healing if salvation was to be achieved. If ever we are tempted to use the text, "With God all things are possible," from Matthew 19 and 26 as a cure-all for our desires, we should remember that even God's Son received and accepted the answer no. In all our prayers, God's will must be supreme if we are to seek and learn from him what is for our ultimate and lasting good. Jesus' calm and composure under extreme duress were evident throughout the Gethsemane experience, as was his never-tiring concern for others. As we know, his urging of the disciples to support him in prayer failed to gain a worthy response. They fell asleep, not just once, but according to Mark, 3 times. Had they not noticed that his prayers were draining every ounce of energy from him? Luke tells us, "And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground." Where was their thinking, their faith, their support? Jesus' response to their failure was, get this, to affirm them as people. "The spirit is willing, but the body is weak," he told them. Beyond their shame, he could see their true hearts. The spirit was willing, and he told them so. The importance of this affirmation would have been prominent in their minds in the days that followed. Next time we are let down and disappointed by those on whose trusted support we rely, we have a precious, inspiring example to remember and to put into practice. Our Bible readings are Luke 22, 39 to 46, Mark 14, 32 to 42, and Matthew 26, 36 to 46. Questions? Discuss how strength for living and life's trials may be gained through prayer. Consider how we might not notice or be alive to the needs of others who would welcome our support. Jesus acknowledged in his prayer that everything was possible to God. Yet he didn't demand that his human desire to avoid the pain of crucifixion should be granted. What does this tell us about the way in which to approach God with our requests? On making your request to God, how fully do you pray that His will is done above all, and how well do you trust God with the answers? Discuss how answers to prayer must be seen in the context of God allowing mankind to have free will. Imagine how you would have felt had your most trusted friends let you down in your hour of need. What does Jesus' positive response to his disciples tell us about him? And what does it tell us about how we should react to being let down? Reflect on the fact that Jesus continued to attend to the needs of those around him even when he was under the most intense pressure himself. And a verse to reflect on and use in prayer, written by Graham Kendrick. There in the garden of tears, my heavy load he chose to bear. His heart with sorrow was torn, yet not my will, but yours, he said. This is our God, the servant King. He calls us now to follow him, to bring our lives as a daily offering of worship to the servant King. May God bless you today.